In part one of my alignment DIY series, I talked about leveling your floor. And I showed how some 1x1 linoleum floor tiles from Amazon can space your car out. Well, I got mine with 5 tiles in the front, 5 in the back, which make my car exactly level. And I went around and checked the camber. This is all going to be about checking camber. So you can see the number, it says 0.3 just sitting there. Make sure you can see this. There you can see it. All right. On the Smart Racing Products, some of their videos, they talk about putting a piece of tape on the wheel where you're going to go. My wheels have a flat edge right here, then they angle in. There's a little lip way in there, into here. And if I put it on the flat edge, I'm at 1.7. (1.7 degrees negative camber. And this is set up to where you can move this down. Oh yeah, on the website, they say put pieces of tape so you don't scratch your wheels up. But if you adjust this, it'll bend just a little bit. And if I have the wheel space, it took a while to get this, all 4 are spaced this way. So it's going straight down. I can straddle that, put in there, bring this down a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. Got to adjust it just right. See, now I'm at 1.6. So it's not the same measurement. Okay, if I push in real hard, I can do that. So that's 1.7. I think you can see that. Let me zoom in. 1.7. Go back to. All right. I did this. Oop, I'm not exactly level. Just a little bit that way. Where are we at? 1.7. Spec from Porsche is 1.5 negative camber, plus or minus, I think, 1/4 degree. So I'm within spec. But you can see how the hands-free thing works. I like the measurement though, because you saw that 0.1 change. I like doing it on the outside just for checking. You don't want to go against the tire. You want to be against the wheel. I'm strapping down. I'm on the wheel. 1.7. I was getting the same thing, but putting it inside there is not a definite hard edge like this is. So checking camber, just like that, 1.7 degrees with the car leveled out. If the car wasn't leveled out, so I'm 0.4 up, it would probably be 2.1 or 2.0, depends what I get here, level, 1.7. I was 0.4, leaning that way, it would be showing 2.1. So that's why I leveled the car, so I don't got to worry about it. Now, zoom out and get in front of the camera. One measurement I did not. In part one, I talked about toe and camber. Well, then you got caster. Caster is the angle of the front tire, suspension to vertical. That sounds kind of complicated. Think of a bicycle. If you ever seen one of those, if you ever had one or ridden one or seen one of those old banana bikes, the Schwinn banana bikes had the long forks on them, you can get on that, push the pedal down just a little bit, and the bike's going straight. You don't got to have your hands on the handlebar at all. It just goes. Now, it takes a lot of effort to turn it, and it might take a mile or so to turn around, but it was super, super stable going straight. That's positive caster. You ever been on a BMX bike? They're almost straight down. There's a little bit, the axle is just a little bit forward of the pivot point. So, 30-degree positive caster to 0.1 degree positive caster. It's a lot more responsive, super quick, but if you take your hands off the handlebar, it's going to bounce around some, especially if you're on gravel. Less stability. More caster, more stability. Less caster, less stability. I think the 1974 Plymouth Duster, if I remember right, was the last car sold in America without a power steering option. That car had negative caster. So you ever been on a BMX bike and you turn the handlebars around and try riding it, it's really easy to turn the handlebars, but if you made it more than a few feet, you have like no stability, you have no control. That's negative caster. The Plymouth Duster, without power steering option for the car, was set up that way from the factory so you could turn the wheel really easy while driving around town. Terrible on the highway, no stability at all, but really easy driving around town without power steering. They helped you out, supposedly. All cars since '74 have power steering, so they all have positive caster. And caster is a function of camber. I do not have a way to accurately measure. So what you do is you take the camber. Like this one's 1.7. I should look before I say it's 1.7. 1.7. And if we turn the wheel, front wheels only. The only car that I'm aware of sold in America with rear caster settings is the Pontiac Saturn Sky and the Pontiac Solstice. Yeah. The little convertibles back in the early aughts from Saturn and Pontiac. They had a rear caster setting. And only GM and Snap-on sold the tool needed to measure the rear caster. Have one of those cars, you got to find that tool. They're used out there on eBay, but only those cars had that. Everything else, this thing has camber and toe in the rear, and that's it. Camber, caster, and toe in the front. Now, just like I was talking about earlier, when you change camber, you change toe. When you change caster, you change toe. So the order you do alignments is you check camber. Now, I have the camber stuff out. I'm doing camber only. And I've adjusted it. I'm going to show. There's not really much to show on adjusting the front. In the back of this, I got to jack it up to get underneath there to get to the adjustments. I'm going to do a whole other video about eccentric bolts and washers, which is how you adjust this. But I am at 0.6. I am now at 0.6 negative camber on the driver's side front. I'm at 0.9 negative camber passenger front. 2.0 on the rear on that side, 1.8 on this side. Negative on both sides. So my rears are real close to each other. If you get more than 0.5 degree difference, a camber spread, it's called cross camber, then that can cause the vehicle to pull to the side with the most positive camber. Not trying to get too technical. But my fronts are 0.3, my rears are 0.2. So I'm well within cross camber specs. I'm within Porsche spec. I've got to adjust as much as I can. I can't adjust anymore. I cannot get them even, which happens. Why can't you get them even? Because this car has 80,000 miles on it. The bushings are wearing and the ball joints are wearing. So to make it so I can set this exactly perfect, I have to do a suspension refresh. I need new lower control arms. I need new bushings, new bolts, new ball joints, all four corners. Now, a good thing or bad thing, I think it's kind of neat. Porsche used the same lower control arms in the back and the front. There's a left and a right, but there's the lowers are the same, front and back. So I only got to buy 4 of the same part. Well, 2 lefts and 2 rights. You can make anyway, I'm not getting into that. You do the camber first. Then you want to do caster. To do caster, you have to turn the front wheels 20 degrees and then measure the camber on both sides, turn it back to straight and 20 degrees the other way, measure the camber, and then there's a formula to figure out what your caster is. This thing, I can be in a turn, let go of the wheel, and it spins right back to straight ahead. My caster is just fine. It's not pulling left or right. It's not pulling any direction. I don't think I have a caster trouble. And caster will cause camber wear on the outside and inside edge of the tires if you have too much. Too little, you lose stability. This car is supposed to be able to go 174, 175, I don't know, fast. I've not been up that fast. Probably won't ever be up that fast. For sure not on the street. But high-speed stability is something you get with caster. If you got a vehicle that you're just turning all the time, like the Miata or the Mini, very little caster. But they're not near as stable as this car is at high speeds, or any speeds. But the outside and inside edge of the tires will wear some more. Anyway, this was measuring. I was showing the Smart Camber gauge from Smart Racing Products. I like going against the face of the wheel just because I know it's there right. But I bought the hands-free option, so when I'm adjusting it, I can put it in there, see what my number is. I know I gotta go 0.2 in or 0.2 out. I can adjust it. It's held there. I can look. Oh, go some more. So I'm pleased with this product. I like the way it works, and I've gotten the same measurements several times now while doing this. I will do more on eccentric bolts and adjusters, and then we got the whole toe thing to go through.